Do you find that you have a hard time landing your shots in World of Warplanes? If so, this guide is for you. In this guide, I will talk about effective fire range, the planes I recommend flying in order to hit the most shots, everything you need to know about the user interface, and the gunplay mechanics in World of Warplanes. The first important thing to know is your plane's effective range of fire. In this case, we have the I-17. If I'm trying to shoot a target that is beyond 2,461 feet, I am going to do no damage. If I'm going to shoot at a target that's 1,968 feet away, I will start to do the effective damage of my higher range guns. My maximum damage will occur within 1,443 feet. That is when every single bullet that I am firing can potentially hit my target. You can find this information on the home screen on the right hand side. The planes I recommend flying would be the I-17, the A6M1, and the Bristol 146. I recommend the A6M1 and the I-17 because they are some of the most maneuverable planes in Tier 4, and your guns will be on target much more quickly with these planes than any other one. I recommend the Bristol 146 just because it is a very good plane overall. It's not the best at anything, but it is quite good at almost everything. The other thing about these three planes is that their firepower is quite good. They will reward you for hitting your shots, and you will know when you are hitting your shots because the enemy's hit points will decrease rapidly. Now that I'm going to start talking about the user interface, an important piece of information to keep in mind is that this is a mouse and keyboard guide. I believe that the game is set up best for mouse and keyboard, so if you are able to use mouse and keyboard, I would. Now, if you really want a joystick guide, I'm gonna need at least 100 likes on the comment below stating that we want a joystick guide. So, user interface. First thing is the dot in the very middle of your screen. It stays in the middle at all times. That is where your plane is attempting to fly. The outer circle around that dot is where your nose is actually pointed and therefore where the bullets are actually going to travel. On the right, we also have our altitude. If you get too high in altitude, your plane will lose performance and then you will find it difficult to land your shot. On the left-hand side, we have our airspeed. If you get too fast, your plane will also lose maneuverability, and if you get too slow, you will stall and lose all control of your plane. On the lower left here, we have your gun's heating status. If your guns overheat, which you know when the bar turns red, your gun's rate of fire will decrease rapidly, even to the point of stopping firing at all. If you're holding your mouse button in with no trigger discipline, you will lose your ability to fire and therefore lose your ability to do damage. I also recommend utilizing the alternate view. I believe the default setting for that is holding Alt. I have it switched to toggled, where if I just tap the Alt key, it will switch to alternate view and stay there. Alternate view mode is useful for lots of different information in general. However, the one specific thing we're going to focus on here is that it splits the cannons up into each of their different calibers, which overheat at different rates. So using the alternate view mode lets you see exactly how fast each set of guns is overheating, rather than just having a single bar to go off on the side. Now we're going to talk about audio and visual cues. You want to use all of the tools at your disposal to know if you are landing your shots. Visually, you can actually see the bullets bouncing off the aircraft that you're shooting at if you're hitting the aircraft. Now, I will caution that the visual cues are less accurate than the audio cues, so I highly recommend always playing with your sound on, especially if you are learning the game. So if you hear that you're registering hits, you are definitely registering hits, whereas if you are seeing your bullets bouncing off of the aircraft that you're shooting at, you might not necessarily be hitting it just because of client and server lag. So the final and most important thing that we're going to talk about is leading your shots. And what I mean by that is you don't want to actually shoot at the airplane that you're shooting at. You want to shoot at the location where the airplane's going to be when your bullets get to that point. All of this is dependent on the relative speed of your aircraft, bullets, and their aircraft. The only time that you want to fire directly at an aircraft is if you are flying at the exact same direction as the target aircraft, and they are flying the exact same direction as you. If the aircraft that you're wanting to shoot at is climbing in relation to you, and you're shooting at that airplane directly, your bullets are going to miss low. If the target aircraft is turning left, and you're firing directly at the target aircraft, your bullets are going to miss to the right. All of these things result in missing your shots. So the slower the aircraft, the less you have to lead your shot. So if you're struggling to hit shots at all, I recommend flying Tier 1, because that has the least amount of lead. Tier 4 is where you actually start to see the impact of whether you're leading your shots incorrectly or not. The shot leading in Tier 10 with the fastest planes is the most exaggerated out of any tier. It is possible to land a shot on a plane that is not even on your screen. And the last and most important thing to keep in mind is, just like any skill, this takes practice. Do not get discouraged, do not give up. You will improve just by playing the game. I hope you found this guide helpful, and if so, please like and subscribe. There will be more guides coming in the future.